Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the fourth update for my project 100 uses. I believe I've now been doing this project for over a year, which is crazy because I am not good at updating this project regularly or using it as a way to prioritize certain items in my collection, but I'm hoping to do much better from here on out. I was inspired to do this project by both Chic Geek as well as Too Much Tosh. In this project, I am tracking almost the entirety of my makeup collection in a big spreadsheet, and every time I use a product, it gets tracked. So it's not a certain, 4 or 5 products that I'm really pushing for 100 uses, but more just tracking progress across my collection. And I'm specifically interested in hitting over 100 uses on products that I don't think I will ever finish, like eyeshadow palettes or big blushes or highlighters, things like that. I have hit over 100 uses on quite a lot of products in my collection, and when I have, I don't know, between 10 and 15 products, I'm going to do a actual video roundup of all the products I've used over 100 times in my collection. For today's update, I do have some frequent flyers, products that I've been updating you on relatively frequently in this project. We're only on the 4th update and it's been well over a year at this point. But then I was looking through my palette collection. Today's update is going to be only eyeshadow palettes. And I wanted to give updates on palettes that are severely neglected in my collection, ones that I do want to focus on this summer and moving into fall, things that I want to be reaching for more because I do want to use this project a little bit more strategically than I have been. So this isn't saying that all of the ones I'm sharing with you today are going to be my top focus or anything, but I do want to bring them back to the forefront of my attention a little bit. You might be seeing them roll into other projects. Maybe I will make a conscious effort to pull them in a Shop My Stash coming up, things like that. Okay, I've been rambling on for way too long. Who's surprised? Nobody. First, I want to update on ColourPop Dream St. I did have this in my introduction and it had 16 uses way back when. Last update, which was in April, it had 34 uses and now we are up to 40. Only 6 additional uses since April. However, we do have the addition of a pan showing in here, which I do feel really good about. It's a decent sized pan. I hit pan in a Shooting Star, and I do want to continue to focus on this palette. This is still up in my everyday makeup drawer and I am really enjoying reaching for this. This is getting older in my collection, but it's still performing just fine. The next shade I have, the shade I have the biggest dip in now, is Water Bearer, which is very surprising, but I love this deep matte shade and I actually use it pretty frequently. So I'm going to keep using this and hope to one day get to 100 uses. A palette that I have not used in a very long time. This is the Tarte Tartelette Toasted palette. This is a palette I have experienced fading issues in the past, but I haven't reached for in a really long time. And when I was looking at my spreadsheet, I realized I've already used this palette 53 times, which I think is a really large amount. I don't have any pans showing in here, not even really dips. I worked on Warmth and Cozy in 2 separate projects trying to hit pan on, and I wasn't successful in doing either. And this is a palette that I really do want to bring back out, get more use on, maybe even hit a pan or 2. And since I'm already at 53 uses, only 47 more to go to hit 100, I just think it'd be really cool to hit that. Now, I don't like the shade Crackle or Candle, but I do like the other shades, but I think that this fades on my eyes, or at least I felt that way in the past. So I do want to bring this out, test it again, it still smells really lovely, like that vanilla Tarte eyeshadow scent. So I want to bring this back out and play with it. All right, we're tossing in a really embarrassing one now. Palettes that I should have used way more than I actually have in reality. And when I think about my eyeshadow palette collection, I think I have used some of these palettes more than I actually have according to my tracking spreadsheet. Could that mean that I've missed a few uses when tracking? Yes, of course, but this is awful. My ABH Sultry palette, this is arguably one of their like most favorited? What? I've used this 3 times. Just 3 times. That is actually ludicrous. This needs to be pulled out and used. In this project, I also want to focus on some more expensive items in my collection because I want to make sure I'm getting some love and attention on these products. And while this product was a gift, it's still very pricey and it's something that I really, really wanted. And so now I want to make sure I'm getting the use on it. This is the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you know I have a major issue with my Natasha Denona palettes and fading on my eyes. I need to sort that out because this palette is absolutely stunning. I absolutely love the combination of warm neutrals and these bluish green tones. I have created so many beautiful looks with this palette. I love it a lot. I've used this palette 11 times and this might be the most expensive makeup product in my collection. I'm not too sure, but my husband bought this for me for our 10-year like dating anniversary last year, near after it released. And looking at it, I just love it so much, but I continue to have fading issues with many of my Natasha Denona palettes. I'm going to test this out with multiple eyeshadow primers. And even if this is fading because it was like a 10-year anniversary gift, I won't be like decluttering it or selling it on Poshmark. I'll just have to know that this is like a palette for filming in the evenings, or maybe reach for one shade and have to use other palettes for the other shades. I don't know. That would be really, really disappointing. But as this is, I think, my most expensive eyeshadow palette, it needs to have more than 11 uses on it. I have quite the collection of ColourPop palettes now, and so I want to be making sure I'm continually using them, not just the newer ones I bring in, but also older favorites. Now I was using this is backwards, ColourPop Wild Nothing palette earlier this year in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, so that's where a lot of the use came from. I've now used this palette 22 times. This is a really great palette for fair skin tones and has beautiful spring vibes. I actually really enjoy this palette quite a lot, and I want to continue to use it. I don't want to forget about it. It has 22 uses on it, which is pretty good. This palette isn't super old in my collection, but again, wanting to remember to keep pulling it out, even though I did reach for this 19 or 20 times already this year, and I do feel good about that, but I don't want to forget about it either. The second most expensive palette in my collection, again, it was gifted to me. My friend decluttered this and gave it to me. This is the Sephora Pro Warm palette. This has been a frequent flyer in this project as well. In April, I had used it 59 times, and now I'm up to 68 uses. I am currently working on this shade here. I believe it's Sandstone in my Pan Those eyeshadows, so it will be getting more use from me here pretty soon, and this is a great summer palette. I seem to be pulling quite a lot of warm tones. I guess that is what I am into right now and the type of palettes I want to be working on. I really love the quality of this palette a lot. It's unfortunate that Sephora collection is not cruelty free. I don't even know if they sell this one, but these pro palettes are really great quality, and I have used this palette 68 times and there's not really much for dips to show for it either. There's a ton of product in here. I'm going to share 2 more palettes with you today. As a reminder on these videos, if you are curious about a specific product in my collection, you can ask me to include it in the next video. It doesn't have to be an eyeshadow palette, it can be literally anything. I'm tracking most everything. I'm not tracking eyeliners or lip liners or anything, but lip products, cheek products, base products, I'm tracking it all. So if you want to know how much I have used a certain item, then you can leave that request in the comments below. The last ColourPop palette I'm going to include today, like I said, I want to be sure I'm using these because I have quite a lot now. This is the So Jaded palette. I've had this palette for quite a long time and I was very surprised to see I have only used it 30 times. This is what my palette is looking like. No pans, of course, no dips. It barely looks like I have used it, but like I said, I have used it 30 times. This is going to be a wonderful palette to bring me into fall and winter, so I would actually like to focus on this a little bit and actually like semi-push for that 100 uses. If you have any strategy tips for this project, then definitely let me know on how to incorporate these products into my other project pans and my everyday makeup routine. I don't want to constantly dip into 5 palettes for 1 shade each just to bump usage. I definitely create looks with multiple palettes at a time, but I don't want to, I don't know, fudge my numbers a little bit like that. But 30 uses, 70 more to go for 100. Like, this is a palette I'm never going to finish. I don't even know. I wonder how many pans there would be at 100 uses, if any. That would be very interesting to know. The last palette I'm going to include today is one that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And for some reason, I haven't come downstairs to my beauty space to grab for it. I think I'm just a little overwhelmed in the eyeshadow palette department, and maybe I'll have to try and remember to pull this in my next Shop My Stash. And I'm talking about the Urban Decay Naked Wild West palette. I know this palette received really mixed reviews, but the 4 times I have used it, yes, only 4, I really loved it. This has a mix of warm and cool tones, and we have that pop of teal that I just love. This is actually very comparable to Dream St. I mean, it obviously doesn't have the pink, but we have those more neutral browns, warmer browns, the teal, you know, light and deep colors. And so I'm happy to have this in a much newer formula if this would sadly expire on me, which I know can't be too far off because it is getting pretty old. It's working fine for now, so I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm happy to also have that color story here. And I bought this palette brand new after it released with the intentions of having it on my YouTube channel, and I'd be curious to know, like, actual makeup reviewers. I know I'm a panning channel, but channels that actually do review makeup, like, how much are they using their palettes? If I've only used this 4 times because it's never been in a project pan, it just makes me think, like, the people that review a ton of makeup, are they only using those palettes 2, 3, 4 times ever and then eventually decluttering them? Maybe. This would be a beautiful summer palette. I would love to use this more, and I actually really enjoy the Urban Decay eyeshadow formula. I love the formula in this one. I love my Born to Run. I want to say it's like underrated nowadays. It used to be really hyped, and I still think it's a good formula, like a good workhorse formula. It's not the most pigmented, but it is just easy, blendable, and this palette deserves more love from me. Wow, so that was 8 palettes I shared with you today, and the usage, some very embarrassing usage that I shared in here. this is actually awful. But also some really exciting updates like the pan in Dream Street, and then I'm continuing to focus on that. I have hit 100 uses on a couple of products that I think I will save for that products I've used over 100 times video, and I do feel really good about that. I need some ideas on how to incorporate focusing on these products as well, because I do want to learn to be a little more strategic with this beyond just sharing some random products and their usage, which is fun. But let's see, let me look back to my intro. What did I include? I had 6 products in my intro. I wasn't intending to share this in today's video, but now I'm just curious. The Model Co. Peach Bellini Blush, I have used that over 100 times now. Becca Champagne Pop, yes. ABH Modern Renaissance, yes. And then I have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette, which I don't think I have used much since the intro. Maybe 10 to 15 times in the last year. ColourPop Dream St and the Sephora Pro Warm palette. So that's interesting. ColourPop Dream St had 16 uses, now it has 40. Sephora Pro Warm had 32, and now it has 68. So if I were to truly focus on getting to 100 uses on those products, then I should be using them much more than I clearly am. So maybe I should focus on Dream St, Sephora Pro Warm, and bring back the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette into the forefront as well, because I shared about those first, and in my mind they should have hit 100 uses by now in over a year. What are your thoughts on that? Now I'm just rambling as always. I get bored after the kids go to bed, and I just want like makeup friends to talk to. Is anyone else like that? And even though I'm looking at my camera, I feel like I'm talking to you guys. It'll be a delayed conversation in my comment section when I finally edit this video. Let me know your thoughts on strategy. Let me know which products you would like to see next time. Let me know what palette you think I should focus on in the coming weeks or month, because I want to do better at that. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!